And we're live. Hello and welcome, everyone. It's time for another exciting episode of IT Career in Australia channel. And tonight's topic is top AI skills you need to succeed in tech. So today, our speakers will explore the essential skills needed in the rapidly evolving tech landscape. So we will highlight some key areas like maybe some machine learning and data analytics and soft skills, emphasizing the importance of continuous learning. So where you're new to the tech or experienced professional, this discussion promises some valuable insights into some essential AI skills necessary for the future success in the tech industry. And so as usual, please introduce yourself in the comments, let us know what you do, and join our conversations with your questions and comments. Or at least say hi in the comments so that we know you're here, because if you don't say hi, we don't know that you're here. So that's not fun. So before I'll pass it over to our speakers to introduce themselves, I just want to quickly remind you that we're streaming on LinkedIn and YouTube. And of course, you know the drill. If you're watching on the LinkedIn, make sure go to YouTube and subscribe to YouTube channel. If you're watching on the YouTube, please find me on LinkedIn. I also have a meetup group, and I strongly recommend to joining my meetup group, especially if you're in Melbourne, because we have a lot of fun tech working events as well. And also, I always encourage you to use this live stream not only for learning new information, but also to network with people in the industry. So a few people saying, hi, Sharmad is here, Art is here. Thank you so much for joining. And without any further delays, I'm gonna pass it on to our speakers to introduce ourselves. We'll start with Dawid, please.
Hey everyone, great to see you all. My name's Dawid Naude. So I'm the CEO and founder of a startup called Pathfinder. Previously, I was the Accenture generative AI lead for Australia and New Zealand, but decided to break away and start this business about 6 months ago. And it's been a heck of a journey. We're working with some of Australia's largest businesses, as well as a lot of mid-market and even not-for-profits. And our vision is we basically turn the AI promise into reality. We're an implementation and execution engine, not just building new things, but also making people adopt the tools that already exist and helping them get ready for the future. So it's great to see you all today.
We go over to Alessio, please. Oh, Alessio, we didn't unmute you. Here you go.
Am I good now?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Alessio. I'm the AI lead for financial services at IBM. In my day job, I work as a corporate, in corporate, basically creating solutions for our financial services clients, banks, and you can name any of them, probably, I believe, yes, all of them in Australia. When I'm not working in my corporate work, I work with a lot of universities across Australia. I have been an academic as well, so I have been a lecturer. And one thing that I do a lot is work with students. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you might find some of my adventures. For example, last week we won the Innovation Award here in Melbourne. And yeah, I'm happy to talk about careers. That's definitely one thing which is very important to me.
Perfect. Thank you, Alessio. And Simon, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Jana, thanks for having me here. My name is Simon Kriss. I run a business called SimonKriss.ai, with pretty self-explanatory. I do quite a lot of AI advisory work for executives and boards around what they should be thinking about, what they should be doing with AI. And that's my day job. When I'm not doing that, to Alessio's point, I'm collapsed in front of the TV watching Netflix.
Perfect. Thank you guys for introducing yourself. We have quite a few people saying hi. Kriss here, Gary here, Lizzie here, Moshmi here, Tanusri here. Perfect. Thank you so much, guys, for saying hi. It's always good to see that you're here. So I guess before we dive into the AI skills, I would love our speakers maybe elaborate a little bit more about, their journey into AI. We were just laughing before that, some people feel like AI just come up 2 years ago. But AI been around, I think, from 1952 that it's first come up in the tech world. So maybe just give us a little overview. How did you get into that, AI space? And we'll start with Simon this time.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I came down a very non-traditional path. So both of my esteemed colleagues that are on the stream with me today clearly have a lot of technical knowledge. All that. I did not come from the technical side. I've come from the business side, and actually I want to talk about that from a skills perspective. So I've been in and around customer experience for about 35 years and always looking to leverage the technology for innovation. And AI is one that, particularly in the CX space, just gives us a ton of scope. So that's how I came into AI.
Perfect. Dawid, what about you?
So I've been dabbling in the space for a long time. So I've always been a business and tech automation guy. So done a lot of contact center work, done a lot of CRM work, done a lot of sales and marketing automation work, and we've tried to roll out AI so many times during that. Like a lot of the stuff Simon said, I experienced firsthand as well. Like just trying to get things like AI into call centers. The tech never really delivered on the promise. In 2016, there was a big wave of chatbot hype, and we tried to get a few chatbots up at Australian companies, and they just sucked. Like it was just so hard to get them to work properly, and so much effort. And the best we could ever really do in call centers was call classification over email and a couple of very trivial things like that didn't really move the dial. And so I've always been in this space and looking for ways to apply it. Basically, any tech that automates a business process or makes it better has been my whole world. And then when ChatGPT came out, that was actually the first time I started playing with large language models and use it to solve a couple of key problems. And then once the bug bites with AI, it bites really, really deep. And then it bit so hard that there was a couple of new ways I wanted to approach it and consulting in general in Australia with AI. Decided to go all in and start this business.
Perfect. And Alessio, what was your journey?
So I'm a thinker. I just get things together and I put them together and try to give them a reason to exist. I started my journey as a builder. I was a developer, and I really love to really put things together and make things happen. When I started in research about 12 years ago, and one thing that I did was translate researchers, whatever they were saying, because nobody understood what they were saying. I was a researcher myself, by the way. And transform them into products. That was amazing. That's when we started saying those nice words like, design thinking and user experience. When those things became digital, it was really exciting. And I was part of IBM Labs. IBM is incredibly big in research, although a lot of students don't actually know what IBM does. Just a few days ago, a very smart student told me that he once had an IBM microwave. So I think that he was mistaken about that. But we did amazing things. You can look up Kasparov. You can look up, we sent rockets to the moon and all those things. But the good thing about being in such a company is that if you stay long enough, you will feel technology change. And sometimes you'll have the really great opportunity. So for me, I was at the beginning of AI. And my team actually built the very first iteration of what then became Watson for Oncology, which was the very first commercial system for skin cancer detection. So when you do that in 2014, it's very different than doing it today. Today is like your tutorial 101 when you get to computer vision, detect skin cancer. But back then, nobody knew how to do it. We were the first ones, and that was amazing. But I do not come from a data science background. Actually, I somehow don't really like data. I like to build stuff. But generative AI is a special kind of AI where it is more about solving problems. because this magic box, which is, deep learning, it's really a magic box, but it allows for really people with different skills outside of AI to gain enough knowledge to become proper experts, not just LinkedIn experts, just go and answer questions, but to really take your own specific knowledge and build on top of it. So it's really a big opportunity. So, you're not going to become data engineers tomorrow, but you can become someone who, if you spend enough experience, knowledge, effort, you can become an expert and start building products, because other people can build stuff. That's something that it's easy. But to become that point of knowledge that people look at for ideas and solutions, that's a completely different thing. And generative AI, that's the biggest opportunity. So don't feel left out. You have a big opportunity ahead of you.
There you go. Thank you. So we have, quite different backgrounds and different stories here. So definitely will be, the great discussion today in terms of the skills we can work on. And I just want to acknowledge a few people saying hi. I like the Kriss comment. It's a lovely, quite a lovely Lonely Planet collection, Simon. There you go. So it's always good to have the real background.
The rule is I can't buy it unless I've been to the country. So
there you go. So definitely a lot of traveling there. Thank you, everyone, saying hi. It's definitely quite a few people joining us, and it's already some questions coming in. But let's dive into it. Let's go through the main questions before getting into the questions from the audience. So I guess the first obvious question, what are those skills? What are those foundational AI skills should professionals master to build a successful career in tech? What are they? We're talking about all this ChatGPT and prompt engineering and all this other stuff, but in reality, what those fundamental skills are. Maybe we'll go with Dawid first.
Yeah, sure. So it really is different for each skill group. So if you're a software engineer, it is learning how to interact with large language models as well as vector databases. So it's about augmenting it with new skills, and then you become an AI engineer. So when we talk about AI engineers, we're talking about it's a software engineer. They know how to interact with large language models. So there's some prompt engineering in there, as well as vector databases, embeddings, and all of those types of things. So that's very clear on the software engineering side. So, that's on the builder side, but what I think is a real opportunity is beyond that. So you don't have to be a builder to add an immense amount of value in this market. So there are thousands of AI tools out there, thousands. So there's a website called There's an AI for That. This morning I looked at it and had 14,000 different tools. So if you're a business, you don't need to build a bespoke new thing. But if we have 14,000 tools down here and you're a business that has problems up here, how do you choose which tool to use? Most of them are going to die off. Like most of them are actually pretty average, just like a wrapper around ChatGPT. So being the evangelist who knows which tools to use, massive value. Being the evangelist who knows how to tinker and play with AI and different models, like massive, massive value in there. So I'm really excited. There are so many opportunities in here. And one of the biggest gaps as well is people aren't solving the right problems. So a lot of companies and business leaders they're distracted by shiny things. So they summarize, like they say, how cool is it that we've got this bot that like Otter or Fireflies that summarizes meetings? We're all in on AI. We summarize meetings. That meeting didn't even need to happen in the first place. So that's not going to make any difference. So I think being the key person who knows what types of AI use cases solve the most impactful problems, I think that's absolutely massive. And all the information is out there. Like it's published. Like you can go to archive, you can just Google, you can just be curious. Like there's so many things. So I think it's a massive opportunity and it's still completely wide open. Like if you want to dive in, like it's completely wide open. There's so much demand.
It's almost like you can ask AI what AI to use, yeah? Simon, over to you. What kind of skills you can pinpoint at the moment?
Yeah, look, mine kind of build a little bit on what David just said. For me, there's two things. One is the skills of a translator, and then one is the skills of a primary school teacher. And what I mean by that is, for a lot of people in AI, what I'm seeing from a lot of executives is what I call FOMF. It's the opposite of FOMO. It's fear of moving forward. And the fear of moving forward just comes from AI being so big, so scary in their head, so new, so complex, so many acronyms. What's an LLM? How does that differ from RAG? And what's over here with it? Like they don't, not only don't they know, they don't care. So they don't care if you're going to solve their problem with OpenAI or if you're going to solve their problem with Anthropic or or three little rats in a wheel in the back room. They don't care. So the big translator role that I think tech people can really win from is learning that soft skill of being able to listen and understand the business problem and translate that into the AI need. What is the AI need? And then to David's point, be able to go on and suggest solutions to solve that. So that's part of it, is that translator. The part about being a primary school teacher is that, particularly in Australia, corporate understanding of AI is ludicrously low. Any executive anywhere, any board member anywhere, if you ask them about AI, their response is usually going to be, oh, yes, AI, oh, yes. And that's where their knowledge ends. They know what the two letters stand for, and that's kind of it. So being able to very, very simply, quickly, easily help them understand what it is that you're trying to do with this tech is a key skill. And I'll give you a great example. If you're talking to someone about trying to show them how AI algorithms basically are a prediction machine, right? They're trying to predict the next. The example I use is that I say to people, finish this sentence. The dog chased the, and it could be cat, ball, stick, frisbee, anything. And that kind of hooks them in to then say, okay, so how did AI know to say ball and not say cat? And sometimes you've got to take it back to primary school level examples for people to feel comfortable about understanding this technology.
Yeah, no. Totally makes sense. It's definitely, I like your explanation. People know about AI, just that it's AI, basically. That's sometimes how far it goes. Alessio, over to you. Anything to add? Do you agree with the previous skill sets, or you can add something else?
Sure. I think the most important thing is adaptability and also just curiosity. My job has not changed in the last 15 years, but I have touched all the technologies that have ever existed. That's because I'm a problem solver. My job is to solve problems. Doesn't matter if it's a AI, blockchain, file systems, performance, doesn't matter. As a problem solver, you will always try to use technology in the best possible way. And you can only use it if you know how the technology works. Learning AI today, it's like the one AI. It doesn't matter because AI today is different from yesterday. Literally, it is different because Meta just came up with Llama 3.1. So it is very different. So trying to stay and learn how to code stuff, it's not really going to help that much. But if you know how things talk to each other and you know how to approach a problem and then try to solve that problem, that's the most important thing for me. But there is one thing in AI that I believe that Simon was touching on, which is this kind of phobia as well. And it is something that will touch us everywhere this year, and that is regulation. So if you're looking for something very specific that you want to touch on AI, regulation is the most important thing. Governance is absolutely the top thing. And the European AI Act is coming into place in a few months. And people think, oh, wait, that's Europe. No, Europe means that you still follow those rules because it's GDPR all over again, which was, the biggest compliance gig we had in corporate, so to say. So if you want to look at something that it's going to happen and you want something very specific, look at governance, because all companies will need to be compliant or be kicked out, basically.
Yeah. Makes sense. It's massive topic. We were talking about cybersecurity and AI, and it's all about those governance and compliance and buzzing topic. Definitely, like if you put cybersecurity and AI together, that's the most popular topic right now. the two the most buzzing topics. But I guess coming back to our discussion, if we will be, I guess, a little bit more specific in terms of which AI technology and tools are currently in like highest demand, how you can become proficient in them. Do you have some sort of examples of a particular technology and how people can, stay ahead and jump on and using them? Alessio, maybe we'll start with you this time.
Sure. What technology? I've been technology. Oh, no, I'm kidding. I'm trying to be as agnostic as possible. The good thing about working at a company that is mainly using open source technology is the fact that you're not vendor locked. Basically, you can do it by yourself. You can download Llama 3 and use it on your computer the same way you can use it on Azure, or you can use it on IBM's infrastructure. It doesn't matter. So what I think is important is to understand what kind of problems can AI solve. I think we're still at the very beginning, and we're still at the point where people look at chatbots and try to solve very small problems. But if you learn how the AI works and what you can do with it once you start applying complex prompt engineering, then you'd be amazed about all the things that you can do. So, a lot of people don't take into consideration summarization. Summarization, for example, is one of the key things that I'm working on, because I just bought an investment property. And if you buy a property, so to say, you will go through 40 pages of documents that you don't understand what it's saying. And you're basically signing it blind unless you pay somebody to read it for you. And so that's where AI can really go and help. And that's where there's so many opportunities. For example, I just bought something that is out of warranty. I bought a ROG Ally. My joystick is not working. 1 year out of warranty. Apparently, the Australian consumer law says that it can go for another year. So it's something of a gray area. It would be great to have a chatbot that can summarize and go through that information and tell me whether or not that is true. So understanding those fine parts of how AI works, beyond just asking a question and getting an answer, but applying it to a real problem, that's very important. And add automation to it. But I want to leave space for other people.
Okay, let's pass it on to Dawid. Maybe Dawid mentioned something about automation as well.
Yeah, I mean, if the question was like, what practical tools in that, I mean, I'm going to state the absolute obvious here, which is learn how to use ChatGPT properly. Like it's a very good starting point. You will learn a lot. You'll learn a lot about being able to ask the right questions, prompt properly. You will also learn about its weaknesses. So if you start using it for analyzing like a complex contract that's maybe 100 pages long, or how well it handles financials and tables and things like that, it's a really good, really good starting point. And 99% of people who do use ChatGPT have probably only used it a handful of times, and they haven't even done the basic things like configure custom instructions and all of that. So it's the gateway drug for AI. Absolutely is ChatGPT. Then when you go beyond that, you need to start looking at specific tools for specific problems. So if let's say you spend a lot of time doing tender responses, complex ones, that are 700 pages, maybe you're in mining services, something like that. have a look at which tools do that properly, and then set up meetings with each of the vendors and demos and all of that. So I think instead of looking at it specifically on the tools, look at the problems that you're trying to solve, and then go down that path. The other thing is like chatbots, building chatbots. Like that's a really good kind of starting point to seeing retrieval augmented generation and things like that, and kind of where it starts and stops, and the things that demo well but are actually terrible in reality. And then also on the chat GPT side, start playing with different platforms as well, so you can start seeing how different tools like Claude and models start operating. I think that's probably the most broadly applicable one, because I don't think most people are taking full advantage of that. If you're a software engineer, it's GitHub Copilot, trying to see how well that works. And then in the testing space, actually having a look at some of the test automation suites and how they're implementing AI to create test cases and all of that. So it really, it's different for each of the skill sets.
Yeah, definitely. Simon, over to you. What sort of, tools and technology you see and you think it's important to stay away?
Yeah, all the good answers have been taken. So I'll just kind of add on. I think hanging your hat on any one tool is probably one of the worst things you can do in AI. These things are moving so fast that, if today you're using OpenAI's 4, and then, as Alessio said, overnight, Llama 3.1 pops out, and then something else pops out, you're going to have to be able to move between these tools rapidly. So I don't know that hanging your hat on any one particular tool is a really good thing. I would also echo just being incredibly curious. I try to carve out time in my morning every day to just kind of look at basically what's happened overnight. What's new now, what's just burst onto the scene. And most days there's something there for me to read, whether it's on LinkedIn or on another forum. So yeah, the other thing I would say about tools is keep close to your CIO and keep close to what strategically they're trying to do, because the answer for you in trying to solve this business problem may be in product embedded AI. So you've got Salesforce and it's got Einstein on board. You've got Verint or Genesis and they've got IT on board. So maybe that's the answer. The second layer is domain-specific AI. Is there an AI application that is very specific to this domain? And I was grinning when Alessio was answering, because I've just seen a new product that's just hit the market called MyLot. And the whole idea of this AI is that it understands building legislation in Victoria. And, the word dwelling can mean a house or a granny flat or a garage or anything. And so they're helping local councils with the planning process. That's really domain specific. And then you've got this general purpose AI that's coming through, right? Your Microsoft Copilots or whatever they might be. So it's always good to understand from a strategic direction what it is that the CIO is thinking they're going to do. Because if you give everybody Genesis Copilot or Nice Copilot in the call center, and then we have Microsoft Copilot run out across the entire organization, what happens when those two crunch together? Are we going back to asking people to use 2 or 3 tools? Is it going to be a master-slave relationship? So you kind of want to keep some strategic direction in mind.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, Mosh may have a bit of a, I guess, similar question, but how have things changed now from 2016 in AI space, other than ChatGPT? It seems like everyone talking about ChatGPT, but is that the main change that happened from 2016? I know, Simon, what do you think?
I don't know that that's the main change. I mean, yes, it was a big change, because the way in which it splashed onto the world made the common everyday mum and dad sit up and take notice. But for me, some of the big changes, is just around speed. The speed at which things happening, the compute power, the way in which things have been optimized, and the amount of data. And unfortunately now a lot of that's becoming synthetic data. But the amount of data that's out there and accessible, I think that continuously keeps changing from 2016.
Alessio, something to add?
Oh, I answered this one on a daily basis. I think it was actually one of my first slides when I was presenting the impact of AI in universities. So this is a story. This is 100% real story. About 5 years ago, I met with my friend. My friend, her name is Ellen. She works for a very large construction company here in Victoria. I think it's the largest in Australia, actually. And she's an estimator. An estimator basically takes an order from the client, like specifications to build a house, and she basically does the pricing. And I told her in 2019, I can't remember exactly the date. And basically I said, I can automate this whole process. Why do you need to do it manually? And she was like, we started talking also with her boss, but they were not really interested because they didn't see value at all. We had this exactly same conversation the couple of weeks after ChatGPT came out, and she was like, we were having lunch, we were having yum chai somewhere in Burwood, and she asked me, do you think that I'm going to lose my job because of this? And I said, I could have taken your job 5 years ago. I didn't have to do it now, and I have to use technologies that is 10 years old. So what has changed? The technology hasn't really changed that much. Even if you look at what we do today, it seems like everything changed, but that's not the real case here. We're talking about RPA. We're talking about robotic process automation. The amount of work that we do with generative AI is so little, and all of the companies worldwide, they are working at a loss at the moment. What has changed is only one thing, is the actual awareness. People now know that AI exists. Everybody knows that. So, it's out of the box, and Pandora's box has been opened, and everybody's worried. So that is the only thing which is different today. Technology has not changed. We could have taken that job 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago. We don't need Gen AI to go and replace those jobs. But now people are aware of it. And if you look at the headlines from newspapers 1 year ago, which I use as an example, overnight, IBM said, why do we need to hire 700,000 people when we can have our AI doing this? There was another headline from BT and another one from AIG. AIG said, oh, we saved 150,000 work hours thanks to our bots. Those were not Gen AI bots. Those were standard RPA bots, but everybody was so afraid, and it had the word AI into it. So that's why last year, if you look at May, all the newspapers, all the headlines, everybody was like, look at the apocalypse. Last week, 2 weeks ago, I had an event where I actually went and talked about what has changed in 1 year. I took what happened 1 year ago and I look at today, and I said, you know what? The apocalypse is not here. Actually, the people who lost their jobs, you know who are the people who lost their jobs most of anybody else? People in the tech industry, people that were actually building those AI tools. So people at Facebook, Meta, Google, IBM, everywhere, those were the people losing their jobs more than the back office people. So
there you go. Dawid, is anything to add to this?
I just completely agree. I think it's actually the mindset change rather than the tools themselves. So a lot of people, the AI has sparked automation thinking in their heads, and it may not be AI at all. It may be just a simple integration or workflow, something like that. I mean, the average company they've got a Microsoft Power Automate subscription and everything else there that could actually automate so many of their things, and they don't use any of it, and they don't use any automation at all. So it's I think it's a catalyst. Like it's a mindset shift, and people do get it confused. Like, I mean, it's a bit crazy. Like, people go, we need an AI to be able to show us how many calls we made last week. It's like, it's just a dashboard on a database. Like, you don't need AI for that. What they're talking about in the call by using the call summaries, for sure. but it's, who cares? Like, who cares the reason for the spark of automation and innovation? But it's certainly ChatGPT in particular has really captured the imagination and mind share of many people. But it's still a small percentage. Like any group of people who uses ChatGPT, half will put up their hands. Who's used it more than 5 times? That'll go down to another half. Who uses it at work? What do you use it for? Like, it's still a really small percentage, but it's okay. It's building.
And while we, I guess, on that ChatGPT topic, we mentioned, already a little bit about prompt engineering and, sometimes just experimenting and trying to process some big documents and tables with the ChatGPT. But do you have any another, I guess, like practical tips in terms of how to, how to learn those things? There's so many buzzing words now about that prompt engineering and things like that. So is any, I guess, practical tips in terms of how to approach that prompt engineering, how to approach learning ChatGPT, and maybe some resources as well? Maybe Alessio, we'll start with you.
The first thing I'd like to say, yes, there is one formal way of doing it. There's plenty of certificates out there. IBM has one, Google has one, Microsoft has them. So you can find so many things. And I believe going back to what Simon was saying, trying to stay up to date. There's like TLDR's email. There's so many of them. We're getting to the point where we need the TLDR of the TLDRs. So if you want content, there's so much content out there. But if you just need to get there, I think there's 2 ways of doing it. One is just start doing it. Just if you are doing something, just go on. I use Meta AI now because it's my favorite one at the moment. And just start writing things, and you will eventually learn by doing it, because the more you do it, the more you get accustomed to it. But if you need a very good prompt, I think the best way of doing it is by going to ChatGPT and say, write me a prompt to do this, and it will give you the perfect prompt. That is the lazy way, but I find that it works really, really well. So yes, go with the certificates if you want, but if you want to start learning, do it by yourself and just ask the actual ChatGPT to give you the prompt. It will give you amazing prompts.
Ask AI how to use AI.
Exactly.
That's a great one. Simon is nodding. Simon, there's anything else to add? Do you have any other hacks?
No, I think Alessio's right. Like I will often go to ChatGPT and say, write me a Mid-Journey prompt that's going to give me a picture of blah, 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 and copy and paste that over to Mid-Journey, and I get the image that I want. So yeah, there's lots of free courses, but AI is empirical. And what I mean by that is you can't read your way through it. You can't think your way through it. You can't, look at case studies. You have to get your hands dirty. You got to get in the water with everybody else. So the best advice I can give you about any of this stuff is play, experiment, start. People say, how do I start my corporate AI journey? Well, you start it with your personal AI journey. Start doing stuff at home. Take a photo of a plant and ask ChatGPT what the plant is. Take a photo of your fridge and ask it to give you a recipe. My killer application for home use of OpenAI or Claude or any of them is ask it to write a bedtime story for your child where your child is the star of the show. They have their brother or sister with them. They have their toy, and even weave in the message that talking to strangers is not advisable. I guarantee as soon as you read that story to your child, they're going to say, make another one, this one with unicorns. And so over the process of doing that every night and writing a new story for your child or grandchild, your prompting skills are going to get better and better and better, because the child will say, no, that's not the story I wanted. I wanted this. So yeah, just get in there and do it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that example. I'm just thinking what story I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to write. So I need to have a think. Dawid, any hacks from you? Have you write the stories? Bedtime stories?
For me, it's the exact same thing as that's always been the driver of innovation, which is tinkering. Like, I think that's the right word for it. You need to, the way your family recipes were passed down from generation to generation wasn't somebody figuring out the thermodynamics and the chemistry between ingredients and all of that. They tried something, it didn't work. So last time they didn't include that ingredient. Then they added something else and they kept on doing that. It's always been the same for tech for me. You don't really know how to use something until you play with it. You don't learn something until you build it. And so all these free certificates and all of that, and courses, they're excellent. They give you a fantastic grounding. There are also lots of people who have the certificates and and have completed those courses, but don't use ChatGPT, and they're great at maybe speaking to people about it at a high level, but they don't actually know it properly. So the innovator's mindset of being a tinkerer is absolutely critical. And if you read some great books, like one in particular by Nassim Nicholas Taleb, just a strange but fantastic author, like he traces back in one of his books and goes that every major innovation in history did not come through kind of a very scientific discovery process. It's actually through a lot of just test and learn. And then afterwards, they're going, oh, that's why it works, because of all these scientific elements. It's always been the same. So if you have a tinkerer's mindset, that's how you're going to learn these tools.
Yeah, definitely. And Nitin is asking, is there any YouTube videos and courses available online? Probably, yeah. Nothing.
Thousands.
So just, I guess, googling it and watch a few things, see what sticks, try another video.
Oh, there's one thing that Gemini does.
Andrew Ng.
Sorry?
There's some good stuff from Andrew Ng with NG.
Oh, yeah.
His stuff is really good, worth looking at.
Yep.
There's
Alessio?
something that I found lately that you can use Gemini. Gemini is made by Google, of course, and they, which is a free one. What you can do is you can just pass in the YouTube URL, and you can basically just get all the transcript and give you a summary of it. I actually started using that just to find the ones which I'm interested in. So I can get the summary of like 20 videos and then decide which one to go for based on the summary.
Oh, that's a great tip. So guys, you can go and get transcript from all my previous talks and decide which one you want to watch. So instead of but now, like, Alessio, now I'm going to lose the views because people just going to get like transcripts and not watch a 1 hour video. Or maybe they will because it's interesting. So yeah, we'll see. We have so many questions in the comments. Let's try to answer a few at least. I love the YouTube names. Grinder Bulk Food Store is asking. Sorry, please put your name in the comments that we know your real name. Using vendors' AI capabilities. Some functions say vendor documents analysis and stuff. With the new LLMs coming out pretty much every quarter, how do you evaluate vendors future-proofing the solution provided?
You don't. I think David touched on this before when he said there's like 14,000 applications out there. When OpenAI ChatGPT came out with the GPTs, it basically just sent 99% of all those people who were just, creating a wrapper around ChatGPT, out of business because they were completely unneeded. So, yeah, at this level, I wouldn't put any money on any company that is building on AI products. I think don't buy shares.
Here we go, some financial advice.
Yeah, I think you, in the procurement process, you ask them what's their approach. Are they locked into one model? Have they written their own model and they're locked into that? Or do they truly have an open architecture? And ask them to show you how they can just flick from using one LLM to another. Ask them to prove it. And then you might have a bit of protection.
Yeah. Just clicking through a few questions quickly. Is there any COTS product tool capable of dealing with all use cases across CDLC? One-stop shop with Gen AI capabilities? No.
Simple answer is no.
What's COTS again?
Sorry?
What is a COTS product? What's COTS?
I don't know. Sharmad, can you tell us what COTS?
I think it's commercial off the shelf, like, out of the box SaaS type of thing is what I'm assuming. And then software development lifecycle. So okay, so this is something that I have been looking into for ages. There is nothing that is off the shelf. All of the things. So when you say software development lifecycle, you're also talking about requirements and design. So there's nothing that addresses those things in particular. There's a lot of focus on code completion and test automation. So there's a lot in that space. You need to focus. I think you need to look at the best tools across the lifecycle. But there's a huge opportunity, particularly in the requirements and design approach of that lifecycle. The old way of doing business with requirements, where you run a workshop with 15 people and you basically ask them, what do you do today? And there's a consultant standing up at the whiteboard kind of mapping. That is such a waste of time. Like, it is so outdated. We shouldn't have been doing that 10 years ago, let alone today. Like, imagine sending, or firstly, look at all the data that you have. So if you're doing something for a call center, as an example, you could run the last 7 years worth of call recordings through some AI tool, and you don't need to go gather requirements about what customers call about. You can look at the data. Then when you design a solution, you could message every single call center employee to look at it. Maybe it's just a quick video for 30 seconds. This is the new redesigned page for the call center. Reply if there's anything missing. Send that to 1,500 call center agents. Use AI to consolidate it, identify the themes, all of that. So I see the requirement side is massively neglected in that software development lifecycle, and it's the tip of the spear. Good requirements inform good design. Good design informs good engineering. Good engineering informs good testing. So, there's long story short, particularly that side is neglected, and there's nothing off the shelf. Yeah.
I like how people give us some tips. There's a few people know what actually COTS means. Here we go. We learned something new today.
I think the only thing that gets close to that is you start looking at agentic behavior, where basically you have many agents working together. So you have examples coming from like Crew AI and Chat Dev. Those are basically those kind of environments where you have multiple agents talking to each other, and you create a software agency, and then you have an agent preparing the code, and an agent looking at the design, and an agent, and then basically you see them arguing and talking. That's the closest thing you can get to something like this, but it's amusing and entertaining at the best right now. It is something really good to go and use, but I would say that is 80% entertainment at the moment. But it's cool. I used it. I love it.
Yeah. Just quickly flick through a few more questions. We're really kind of running out of time. Maybe just the quick answers. Maybe just one person can answer this question. Will AI also have its flavors going forward? Like how different, like different platform or languages? Simon, you're like knocking.
I think there are. Whoops, Alessio, okay.
Whoops,
I think there's lots of flavors already. Personally, I tend to use ChatGPT for things that I want to be really creative. Come up with a workshop run sheet for me, or craft a beginning of a report. But I tend to use Claude for document summarization because I find that just does a better job. And then I'll use, Midjourney for images and stuff. So I feel like there are already flavors coming forward, and, different people will disagree with me and say, no, you don't use Claude for summarization, use so-and-so, so-and-so. But that's just the whole thing is, you like strawberry, I like vanilla. It's it's going to be the same thing with AI.
Behavior.
Alessio, yeah.
Oh, sorry. It goes back to the agentic behavior that I was talking about before. So when you look at real business problems, we need to also think about cost. That's something that people forget. And once again, companies are providing AI solutions at a loss now. Microsoft, anyone, they're all losing money on providing those things. And we're moving towards what is now called a small large language model. So we are trying to use the smallest language model because running those models will be much more cheaper. So, but what we do then, we spatialize them so that small model is very good at doing summarization, but it doesn't require a power plant next to the data center to actually make it run. And that's where you have like 8 agents all connected to perhaps 8 different models altogether. And exactly like Simon was saying, each one of them is good at doing something different. So if you go on Hugging Face, you will find just like, I don't know, 10,000 different versions of each model, all fine-tuned to do something very specific. If you're a small company and you want to save money, get a very small model, fine-tune it to just what you need it to do, and that's it. Run it for the rest of your life.
Go. Dawid, maybe you'll take a next question. I now keep watching your puppy. He's having a lot of fun there. So good. Costa is asking, it's a massive question, but maybe if we can have like a brief sort of answer on this. Costa is saying, I'm always concerned about the privacy and security of using AI. Is there one that is more reliable than other? For example, Copilot more secure than ChatGPT?
I mean, it depends on what your definition of like secure and reliable is. So if you're just getting Copilot, it's an expensive tool. I mean, it's not being deployed into your Microsoft Azure environment or anything like that. You'd have to have a look at all of the certifications it has and things like that and compare it to something like ChatGPT. The reality is if you're deciding to use the free version of any tech product, you're giving up something. You're giving up some of your data. So when you use Facebook, it's free. And what you're giving up is your information in order to be advertised to. With ChatGPT free, as an example, you're opted into the model by default to give your information up for it to be reused for training purposes. As soon as you go to the business tiers of these products like ChatGPT, the team version, or in particular the enterprise version, it's really hard to argue that it's less secure than using a Salesforce environment or even using your Outlook, like it's Outlook 365. Like it's just if you really are concerned, you have to take control of it by deploying it on your Microsoft Azure environment or on your own computer. At which case now you're probably playing in a space with critical infrastructure, with banks, with telcos, and all of that really need to do that. So the first thing is just kind of get informed and just go, look, what am I worried about? Am I worried about hackers going in and stealing all my data from them? Let's put that at ease. But most people actually worry that, hey, if I put my tax return in, somebody next week is going to say, how much did Dawid earn last year? And it's somehow automatically train the model with that information. It's not how it works. And particularly on the paid tiers and the business tiers, it's not how it works at all. Like your data is not used. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that the privacy is the massive. It's like a separate conversation. I feel we'll start talking about the data privacy and stuff. I'm just cautious about the time. Maybe just the last question on the skills, guys. The really specific question from Suhas. I'm a data specialist with over 4 years of experience. How can I crack my first job in my AI field? Any tips? Do we have any tip for
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to that, especially with 4 years of experience. How do you get your first?
We want to move to AI, more like ML engineering.
Oh, okay. So I think this one it goes back to more of a career kind of thing. Numbers. I think if we look in Australia, I believe there is quite a big context about that. we say that something like only 25% of the jobs go through the apply button. So and that's like kind of like Red Sea, completely Red Sea thing. You go in and you fight with 1 million other people. And then I believe 15% is through headhunters, but the rest is really through networking. Frankly speaking, right now, I wouldn't go into a job unless somebody was referring me for it. And the same I do for the people that I know. They come to me just for having their referral. So I think networking is extremely important. You want to go work for Microsoft, go and find somebody from Microsoft that will write a referral for you. Otherwise, frankly, I wouldn't even spend my time.
There's also another way you can bump up your chances massively. So, all three of us on this call, we get approached all the time, and so many of the approaches are like this: "Hey, my name's John, whatever. I'm really kind of wanting to kind of like get into AI. Do you have any openings?" Like, it's so weak compared to, "Hey, I built this. I built these 3 things. Here they are. Here's a Loom recording of me walking through them. It's open source, hosted on GitHub. You can have a look here." So building something, broadcasting that onto LinkedIn, broadcasting that everywhere, sharing that is going to put you way ahead. Combine that with accessing your network is massive. So that would be the key thing but like saying, "Hey, I'm looking for an into AI." You're already in AI. Like you already are. You're a data specialist. Like the foundation of this is data. You're already in AI. So first I'd say that. And then kind of decide how you want to how you want to get in. Actually, I just saw a great comment there, volunteer. Great idea. There are so many not-for-profits, charities, all of these things out there. Build something for them. Approach them, saying, "Hey, why don't we market? Why don't we help you raise donations using AI?" Like I'm gonna show you how to use the tools, or I'm gonna build something for you. And if you don't have the skills, you can learn them, or you can get a friend to help or something. And they're going to be a case study for you. Like they're going to be contact these 3 not-for-profits that I worked with. I built something for them. That's the way. Yeah.
Yeah, and also watch the previous episode what I did with ML engineers, and they talk about their careers and how they actually became ML engineers. So, and I also did run a live stream about data engineers also somewhere. I'm trying to find it, but anyway, so I just go back to some of the live streams and watch them. Don't do the transcript like Alessio told you to do. Actually watch them for the whole hour, so to make sure I get more views. Anyway, guys, we only have 3 minutes left of our stream, so we're about to finish. So, and the most exciting part of the stream is giveaway, the virtual coffee giveaway. So please don't get discouraged if your question hasn't been answered. So maybe we'll try to take some questions offline, but also will be 3 lucky winners who can have virtual coffee chats with our speakers. Our speakers will look through the comments now. And while they're doing that, I'll do the announcement for next week. So next week is the 31st of July. As usual, I'm going live every Wednesday. Our topic is, what does an enterprise architect do and how to become one? Obviously, if you enterprise architect, I still encourage you to join and comment. And if you want to get into enterprise architecture, I really encourage you to join and ask your questions. So it's next week, 31st of July. And 10th of August, don't forget, we're going to go for another tech walk around Albert Park and Lake. So if you're in Melbourne, make sure to join me. It's great to meet people in real life. Okay, guys, how did you go with choosing the winners of the virtual coffee charts? Okay, who's going to go first? Simon, who did you choose?
I chose Mark Gabriel. I liked his comments.
Mark Gabriel, because there's so many comments. I'm trying to find Mark Gabriel. Here we go. Curiosity, and looking at changing. Mark, make sure, I think we connected on LinkedIn. Make sure to connect with Simon. and I'll make sure you get the virtual coffee chat. Dawid, who did you choose?
Yeah, I loved it. I think it's the most impactful word that I saw. So Lucio Ribeiro, I'm so sorry. I know I said that really wrong, but just that word volunteer. It's really, so many people need help and will be a case study and don't know where to start and can't afford a big consulting firm to come and help them. Like it's wide open. Yeah. There's 7,000 not-for-profits in Australia. I think it's actually more. I think it's 70,000 or something like that. All of those you could volunteer for.
Yeah, perfect. Lucio, thank you for joining us. I'll make sure I'll connect you with Dawid. Alessio, did you choose your coffee chat?
Sorry, I got so much into the discussion. I wasn't really following all the comments. While
you're doing it, I'll give you a few more seconds. Guys, I'm also gonna...
Okay, there you go. I used... if Lourdes Corelli is still here, I used a very common tool in our environment, which is the random number generator.
Which one? You did the random.
No, I think I found it. Sammy, I think Sammy had a few.
Sammy, yes, we didn't answer Sammy's question. Sammy McAlainen. Sammy, we'll make sure we'll connect you with Alessio. And guys, are also gonna drop into the comments all the websites and resources. So Alessio, Simon has a book as well on Amazon. I'll make sure I'll drop it in the comments. What else do we have? We have Dawid Leadership Workshop as well. So guys, I'll make sure all of these resources will be in the comments. Alessio with his Skills Build Organization website as well. So I'll make sure it's all in the comments, and you can obviously go check it out, buy the book, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then things like that. You know what to do. Obviously like this video, subscribe to the channel, connect with everyone on LinkedIn, so everyone knows the drill. It's 6:30, it's time for dinner here in Melbourne. So thank you so much again for your time. Thank you so much everyone for joining us. Thank you, Simon, Dawid, Alessio. It's been a great chat. I know we can talk for hours with so many questions coming up, but I'm sure we'll rejoin again and on a different topic again. So thank you, and see you next Wednesday.
Thank you.